look through the photos that they have of the paintings on the wall that show the frame. And I'm gonna pass my iPad around to let you look through it. You can just scroll. This is all in one album, so go back and forth as you want. The thing that I noticed most.
Careful.
Is that the majority of the frames were black or dark. There were very few gold frame paintings. I know a few years ago, everything that we did was in the gold plein air frame. They've gone away from that. A lot of the black frames, if you use plein air frames, you'll notice that that's what a lot of them are, but not all. There are a few that are in neutral frames, and maybe one, maybe two in white frames. And I bring this up because, I'll get into that in a minute. So, I'll just start on with this one. So this is a black frame, and you might guess that this is my husband. I did it probably 5 years ago. It's one of the things that I have framed that really, to me, goes well together. The background, the frame, the black frame, the width of the frame was important. And he has this little bit of white hair that contrasts and makes it all stand out. So I started with this one because I think it's a pretty good one.
What kind of glass do you prefer to talk about that later? Glass?
Glass, I'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I will. I printed out some pages that have a lot of links in them that you might find helpful, might find important. I think I've got about 11 of these. So if everybody doesn't get one and you want one, just if you'll put your email address here, I'll send you the document. Or if you want the document rather than the printed one, put your email there and I'll send it to you. Pass those around. I'm gonna keep one because
Maybe we could put it on the website.
oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that. Because on the document itself, the links are live, so all you have to do is click. Here on the printed one, you'd have to type it in. One of the primary resources that we have locally for framing is CMI. And I don't know if all of you are familiar with it or not. It's on Tanner Road, off Interstate 10, off Interstate 610, not 610, Beltway 8, just north of Interstate 10. So it's fairly convenient to get to. They have hundreds and hundreds of frames. This is their catalog. If you flip through it, you can see that everything that you need is available. It's a little confusing because there are so many.
What is the name of the company? I'm sorry.
CMI Molding. They have a website. You can order through the website. If you can tell by the little pictures that are on the website exactly what you want, you can order through them. They have all of the matte choices if you're still framing with matte.
Does anybody need this flesh?
And on the frames, you can buy just the sticks of molding if you can do the framing yourself. If you can't and you wanted a complete frame all put together, they will do that. There's a slight upcharge for each chop, each cut that they put together, but it's really not bad. Overall, your prices for a frame from CMI will be equal to or less than Amazon, Blick, some of the other online.
Do they chop the frame for you? I mean, if you're gonna do it yourself, do they cut it or you'll cut it?
If you're gonna join the corners,
Right.
you're saying, I don't know the answer to that, but my guess is yes, because on their price list for the frames, they have a column, that says, that gives you a chop price.
Okay.
Yes.
So I assume they would.
Yes, I asked them to just cut them. They can do both. Just cut them and cut and join for you. So as you wish.
Okay.
Either way, and I think they have from the very they have metal frames, and then from the very ornate, estate kind of, frames to their very simple plain ones. The catalog, if you wanted to go by and pick up one of those, shows you a lot, it shows you really the favorite or the best sellers that they have, but, there are many other things that they carry as well, anything that you want for framing.
Carolyn, so are you saying that if you go there, that, so I find a frame that I want, they have all of that in stock?
They, as far as I know, they don't carry it in, nope, I'm gonna take that back, cause they do have some sticks in stock, but most of the time they have to order it. But if they order it, they can get it to you within usually a week. And I always ask them to deliver to my house. There's a slight delivery charge. If you spend, I think it's $125, then they will deliver it to your house by charging you, I think less than $10, I can't remember. Well worth it for me because it's a long drive.
And they have the non-reflective glass too.
They do.
And will they cut that?
Yeah, if they're framing it for you, no.
As far as I know, they will not cut the glass.
Yeah, but we've had to have it cut, but you buy like so many pieces and then take it, and my Ace Hardware will do it for me, I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's what I was
will.
gonna say, Ace Hardware does it.
They do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, they cut
Sorry,
Linda's.
we're taking over.
It depends. It depends on your Ace Hardware. We
Yeah.
built
How big
it
are
some
some?
there and no, they broke it.
Oh.
So be careful about your glass.
That's
cutter.
true.
Do you mind if I ask just a ballpark on, cutting it?
I think it is, say, $5, $6 per
Cut.
cut.
Now, it doesn't change if they're doing the 45 to piece them together.
I wouldn't think so. Don't know that. Francis.
No, you're talking.
It's
about-
not terribly far from when we live at Mendenhall, it's convenient to go over to CMI when we're at that location, so in November, we're not that far to go when you're at.
They're not
Mendenhall.
open on Saturdays.
They're not. When did we go?
The girl who works the office is named Tammy, she's very helpful, she's very courteous and nice. This is the glass that I use, that I recommend. It is far less expensive from CMI than museum glass. I think they do carry museum glass, but this one is by a company called Grow Glass, GRO-glass. And it's called Water White UV protection. There are two different, there's a 70% and a 90% UV protection. I looked at the Frame Tech website, and he has a very good blog entry that explains that, there's really not that much difference between 70 and 90, so don't go for the more expensive one. And the way they sell it is, like Daddy said, in boxes. For instance, I always buy the 24 by 36 size. There are 4 pieces of glass in it, and then I have it cut. They I think sell 16 by 20s, but the sizes that you can get from CMI are limited. So, because that happens, you know, the things that we need framed are not 24 by 36 or the sizes that come in the box. So you don't want to waste any glass either, because even though it's inexpensive. So let me go back. The 4 sheets of 24 by 36 cost $150. So you can figure out the math going on down to how many pieces you get out of those 4. That is very inexpensive. So I go into a scrap paper first, and I say 24 by 36, and I need these sizes. How can I arrange them on there to get the most good pieces and the less waste? And after I get that figured out, I graph it out for the glass cutter. And then Bill takes it to the glass cutter for me. We did use Ace one time, and they broke the glass. There was nothing they could do. I use in Rosenberg. Here's another one that we did. In Rosenberg, I use raised glass, and they charge $5 per cut. So that's another thing when you're graphing it out. You want you want the least number of cuts that you can get out of one sheet. And I'll pass one of these around if y'all want to look at that.
Maybe that would be good to put on the website.
There's a little bit about it on the members only page.
Okay.
Yeah, there is. Here's a sheet of the glass I was just talking about, the water white. A couple of advantages that it has over the museum glass. You can use either side against your art, either side out, it doesn't matter. It, doesn't, touching it, getting fingerprints on it, is not as much an issue as it is with museum glass. If you get them on there, you just use a microfiber cloth to wipe it off, to clean it off, which you should always do anyway, just before you put the frame together. One little tip that Linda Dellandre long ago showed me to find out, am I holding anti-glare glass, or am I holding regular picture framing glass? And if you're holding it against where you can see a fluorescent light, the glass will reflect it as green, and that's how you know you're using an anti-reflective glass. I did look up, normally I feel like the terms non-glare and anti-reflective are the same, but I looked it up, and technically they're not. Non-glare means that it spreads out the reflection, and it has more of a matte finish to it. So, and that's probably the way it was years ago. So it's better to refer to the phrase anti-reflective. And the other thing is, sometimes when I've gotten museum glass and taken it at home, I thought, oh, I don't know which side is which side to put out. If I bought it from Hobby Lobby, they didn't mark it for us. And we go to the internet, try to find out, well, which side, and even then, we were never really totally sure. So with this one, either side is okay.
Now, I've used the kind that you don't know which side, and what I figured out, if you'll take an X-Acto knife, right on that top edge that would be under the frame, if you can scrape something, that's the side that doesn't go to the, I don't know which, I think that may go toward the artwork.
So you gotta look it up, right?
Right, because if it's the other way, you can scratch your glass
Yeah.
very easily, but that's how I figure out.
And we've even done that, and honestly, I can't
that was
tell, I could
really
do it on
cool.
either side, and it was just still a question mark for us. So, and a couple of things before you frame, photograph your art before you sign it. Photograph your art, every piece, whether you like it or not. Right, and today you might not like your painting, but you look at it a couple of weeks and say, oh, I did that, it's pretty good. Photograph it.
Can we close that so we don't hear all that noise? Thank you.
Am I talking loud enough?
No.
Usually I talk so soft, it's hard to hear. You probably all know that if you have a pastel painting before you frame it, you have to turn it upside down and spank the back of it. Get rid of all of that loose, if there is any loose dust, let it fall out. And then, I'm gonna look at my notes. And then sign it. Don't forget your signature before you put it under glass. The other thing is, when you can start framing, plan early. It takes a lot of time to, first of all, you've gotta decide on your frames. You gotta get to the shop, decide on your frame, get all of your supplies accumulated from your glass to back of your frame. And the framer probably takes a couple of weeks, maybe a week, to get the frame to you. So be sure you've allowed yourself enough time before you need the frame. Okay. So I did this one already. And then you have the question of professional framing or do it yourself. Go to some of the frames that I've used, that I've chosen, some good and some bad. And I'd like for this to be interactive and have your comments, and you can say yes or no. A couple of years, several years ago, I had an exhibition in Sugarland, and the director wanted, they were all new paintings for me, so they were not framed. She wanted the frames to be white. So that's what I did. Looked online, pondered about it, which frames am I gonna use? Finally, it was all seascapes. I finally decided on this kind of frame. It has this little wavy kind of profile to it, and it was nice and wide. I thought it would work well for the little 6x8s as well as the larger painting. So, and I also wanted all of the frames to be the same. So, have it some consistency with it. So this is the one I bought. And as I said earlier, when you were looking at the paintings that are in the PSA show, there were no white ones. So all of my white frames, I don't know, maybe they don't show very well. So this one works pretty well because there's some contrast in the painting. There's some white, some dark. Maybe it looks okay. I don't think it's great, but it's okay for this one. It's certainly very inexpensive. Any comments on that one, good or bad?
I like it, but I think at a show on a white wall, you don't get the contrast that you get with the dark gray.
And that may well be why that's done at PSA. The show that this one was in had very odd framing. She did it from hanging from the ceiling with wires, so there was 2 frames back to back. And maybe that's why she wanted white. But now, you know, I've spent the money, I've got them. What am I gonna do? Okay, so this painting is a 6x8.
I wanted to ask you, so you have like your 4-inch frame on that?
Put a 4-inch frame?
Yeah, so you have a wide frame. How do you go about choosing, say you were just getting that one done by itself? How do you choose the width of your frames according to size?
Well, this would be a good answer for it, what I'm gonna show you right now. It's a very insignificant frame. It doesn't really add anything to the painting, probably doesn't take anything away from it. But I did that on purpose with this particular one. It's the same size as this one, but it was going to go into the exhibition in Lake Jackson. And there were going to be 10 of them, same size, same frame. And I was going to create a wall design with those 10 paintings, almost in the shape of a wave.
It was
So-
beautiful. I was there, I saw them, the way you had them displayed. I didn't know if it was Phil that designed it or you, but it was just really beautiful.
Thank you
It
so
popped.
much for saying that. I didn't hear anybody else say that, so I appreciate it. Yeah. So for what I chose at that moment for this one, that works fine. This is also a really good frame if you're going to, if you need to give somebody a thank you present. You're not spending a whole lot of money. These came from Blick, a box of 8, probably, less than $50. I don't remember, but they were very inexpensive. But here's the thing, on the back, it comes this way with the sawtooth hanger and these little, twisty things that go into the notches. And normally in an exhibition, those are normal, the sawtooth is not allowed. They're so lightweight. And I contacted the director and showed him a picture of the back. Is this gonna be okay? They weigh less than a pound, so, I got the approval to do that. The other thing is that these frames purchased from, Blick come with a, plexiglass. And that was the one thing I didn't want to do. So I had the 6x8s cut of the glass that we've talked about, took the plexi out, put the glass in. And in this case, the first time I've ever done it, I put the painting directly against the glass. I know that Betty has been doing that for years and never had a problem with it. So if you wanna say anything about that.
I just haven't had a problem with it at all. I do everything right on glass.
Regardless of the size?
Yeah, I've never put a spacer, I don't use mats. I put them,
Do you tape the edges when you do that? Tape it to your backing?
yeah, I always use that, what do you call it? The artist kind of tape. that's
Framers.
Yeah, I always see them.
You're talking about.
If you want to break for a minute, anytime, to get refreshments, cause nobody got anything, and once you're done, I don't know if everybody's done.
After I get through. with my
Okay,
painting,
just
I'll
say
forget.
them.
So this is kind of what you were asking. This is a sandwich. I did use spacers for this, that Betty doesn't. Yep, I did. And the painting, I don't remember whether the painting was mounted or whether it was just plain paper and then I added a backer to it. But I used the tape around it. It's tightly sealed. It was a great way to store things. I would now though, I saw, another lady, instead of using this white tape, she used framers tape in clear, and that's what I would do in the future if I were going to do this.
So where do you buy that clear tape? Do you know where?
I saw it on Amazon, but I'm gonna look downstairs.
The
Good.
clear, I've not seen the clear, mine's white, the artist.
Yeah, just like this, yeah.
Okay.
This is a great way, if you've got a painting that you really like, and how are you gonna store it? In glassine or one of the clear bags, or this is a great way to do it, and when you're ready to frame, you just pop it in, use the nail pointer, and you're done. Very, very easy.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. I'm really
Yeah.
brand new to this. What's a spacer? I mean, what?
Oh, okay, well, I'll get to
Okay,
that when we get down.
Okay,
She's-
good.
So that
Okay.
tape that you were talking about, it goes on between the frame and the front of the, work, or on the back of the work to hold it to it?
It goes between the glass and the painting.
The glass.
Okay, so one more 6x8, and then we'll take a break. Okay? That's the difference between them. The black and gold, is just a classic look.
I love the black, I like the black too.
But on seascapes, even though the white may not be fully accepted on seascapes, I think the back is too stark unless I do a really narrow one. And I put this on this handout, this little picture here, because, one of the artists, Lori Woodward, who is a really fantastic, landscape painter. She had posted this link to frames from Amazon at really big and great prices. They're plein air frames, but the black one has a little bit of detail around the corners that looks really nice. So if you're interested in that, you might check that link. Let's see if there's any. Oh, the King of Frames on Pastel, on framing. They, right now, in fact, they have a sale going on. So if you'll sign up for their newsletter, you'll get notice of when he's got sale prices on, and they're pretty good. The shipping charge I don't like, but. Hey, Katie, I had a commission painting that was 48 by 32. And, that's why I was talking about professional framing. That's too big and bulky for, Bill and I to handle the weight of the glass and the physical size of it. So I contacted one of the galleries in Houston, and the framing price was very high. I think $1,200, $1,500. It was. And so I contacted Katie Art and Framing, of course, in Katie. And just online, and they said for a plain white frame, with that kind of glass, around $600. So, that's not a big deal. And the customer, of course, was gonna pay for it. So I did go to Katie Art and Frame, and they did a magnificent job with that. They assisted us in choosing the frame, which wound up being, once it was on the client's wall, it was a doctor in her reception room. The frame just kind of disappeared. It enhanced the painting, but it disappeared. It wasn't that noticeable. Looked great with her wall paint, so, I do recommend that company. They were very courteous, very, very nice. And I talked about the art class. Frame tech, I'll go over that when we get to when we're talking about the spacers. They're created by a company called Frame Tech, and, the one that I use is called EconoSpace. And if you go to their website, there's a lot of good information, as well as he has some blogs and videos. The blog says things that you won't hear from other framers. Nice to look at. The large painting that I did for the doctor, again, because of its size and the weight of the glass, Bill and I decided that we didn't want to have to handle it to hang it on the wall. So I called around and found an art installation company in Houston that would go to Sugar Land and charged a minimal amount really to hang the painting. They did a super job. They are AIP, excuse me. The website is on here, AIP. John Stuckey was the man. I can't remember whether he charged me $100 or $200, but for what he did, it was a really good price.
It was 200 because there was two people.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they worked on it. It took them
about an hour.
to do the job as well as coming from Houston.
Mhm.
So if you do have a commission and you need a professional hanging, I recommend that company. I'll go over pirate ship. If you're in an exhibition and you need to get your painting that's beyond driving distance, shipping is expensive. Pirate ship has fantastic rates, usually a third or maybe a quarter of what UPS or USPS charges. And the website's very easy to use. Oh, these carry cases that I have, I made those. And as you can see, they're very easy to do, but if you're interested, I have a video on my YouTube channel that goes through the whole process. This is basically insulation, right?
Mhm.
It comes in a roll, and easy to cut with the scissors. I like this aluminum silver tape, but I have made some adjustments to others just using shipping tape, and at least for temporary that works okay. Alright, and that covers, oh, one other thing. One of the things that's always been a problem is when you got your paper and you wanna put it on your easel, what do? Mount it to foam core, or just put the paper over there, and then it's not quite as easy to frame. PacificMount.com, you can get a foam board that has an adhesive on it, and then you just peel off one side of it and press your paper onto it. So you might want to look at that as a reference. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with paintings that are 8 by 16. For my wave paintings, I really like that size. It does very well with it. Again, with a white frame. It's a nice width. It's about like the black one over there. To me, it works okay with this one, because it brings out the little white sparkles that are at the top, and the dark at the bottom is enough of a contrast. So it works pretty well. Now, it might have been a whole lot better with black, I don't know, since I didn't try it.
Is silver something they never use? Cause silver might be pretty on some of them.
I have some of those and I'll try them. The same size painting, same frame in this one, and boy is it a dud.
That looks really good on that.
And you like that
I
one,
like it.
sis?
I like it too.
I like that.
It's
Yes.
good.
Now see, you guys have really surprised me. I looked at it when it's hanging on a wall, and the white frame makes the painting just fade away. Look at that.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's a seascape.
I like it.
It's still good?
Yeah.
Well, now I feel a whole lot better.
So, Carolyn, if you don't like that, what would you have used?
Well, that was the thing. I was at CMI, and I tried other frames around, other corners, because what looks good right here may not look good all the way around. So I had 4 of this size that I was hanging for the exhibition, and I wanted them all to be the same size. So you have to kind of compromise. So what I would have used other than the white, there wasn't anything.
No.
I mean, the white was
Perfect.
great.
What my framer did, I had that I bought in CMI, but she added like a floating frame in another color around that, you know, the floating.
Oh,
Yes,
on the
so you
outside of
can,
it?
yeah, you can, maybe one finger gap, and then you can, and she put a kind of a dark brown, and wow, I was so surprised about kind of a floating frame, yes?
Mhm.
Like that is your canvas, the whole canvas, and you put it in a floating frame.
So you would have something like,
That, but with a dark, and the floating frame is coming like a box.
wow, good idea.
Do you have that stuff?
Yes, I have
Did you
several.
shoot that picture?
Yes, and this is the corner store lady framing. You remember she came to show us years ago? Who remember her?
Yeah?
Yes.
I do.
Uh,
Carrie?
Carrie, yeah, she has a truck
Mhm.
and a van and she brings everything to your place.
Oh, wow.
And for me, it's affordable. Maybe she makes special prices for me because her client. But the only thing that I don't like is the kind of glass she's using, and sometimes I provide the glass. Now I'm gonna see, there's a new acrylic, let's see how it goes. But for framing, I really like, and she has very good ideas.
Okay, I'll put her, with all of this, I'll put her
Okay.
website on there.
Yeah, I'm happy to share her contact.
She's a fun one to listen to do a frame. She did a framing demo for us.
Yeah. Oh, you have something like that there.
Okay, now this is the same size painting, and this is from Katie Framing. I love this frame. It is a reflective surface, so it picks up whatever color is in your frame, in your painting. But, do y'all like it in this frame?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
See, that surprises me too, because when I look at it on the wall, I feel like it's closed in too much. That you don't really see the painting as much as you should, because the frame.
I'm
is-
kinda looking at the frame when I look at it,
Yeah.
so I think it detracts.
I like it.
So even though the coloring all works together, a little bit of silver, a little bit of white,
I love the frame.
I think maybe if it had a mat around it and then used this frame, that would work. But I don't know, that's all, it's just like judging an exhibition.
Does that one have non-glare glass?
You all have-
Right, it's a lot of subjectivity.
Does that have non-glare glass in it?
Yeah.
It's just that this light will.
No, this is regular glass.
That's what I thought.
I think I was trying to save money.
Is there a name for that style
What?
is there a name for that style of?
I do not, I took a picture of the back of it that had a name, not name, number on it, but I don't remember the name. And the reason I chose this frame is because I picked it out for a larger painting that was a commission. It was 36 by, I don't know, it was a larger seascape. And it looked great on that one, because the painting itself was large enough. So that may be another thing to consider. So the difference in cost, this was, with the glass, everything, I'm sure under $100. Well under $100. This one was about $500.
Don't forget that. I will never do that.
We don't like it that much.
No.
Do you have fixative on them when they're finished? have fixative on them?
No, I don't use fixative at all.
Okay.
Just hitting it on the back. And really, and I use sanded paper. The two brands of sanded paper I use are UART 400 for the seascapes and Lux Archival. And they both hold so much pastel and they hold it so well, it's okay. The other comparison is, this is the back of ours. We did not put a dust cover on it. This is the way the back of it looks. This is the professional frame back. So that's another comparison.
Carolyn, you mentioned something about, using a mat. Do pastel artists, is that common to put a mat around? I've not seen a lot of mats on pastel.
No,
Not lately.
just like I had on those photos that went around, just kind of doing a scan visually, I would say maybe a third of all of the paintings that were hanging in the PSA show had a mat on them. Maybe a little bit less, of 25 to 30%. So most people are framing it without a mat now.
They used to use mats more, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing to do.
Carolyn, I have a question. When you are done with your painting and you're waiting for the framing to be available for that painting, how do you store it? I know you have cats, and I have 4 cats, and they love to lick things. They love to mess with it. And so I want to have a good way of storing them until it's framed.
Easiest way, we put them in the other bedroom and close the door.
Yeah.
And and the bed is covered with paintings.
Oh, you do
We
that.
do that. There are a couple of ways. The easiest, I have a roll of glassine paper, and I cut and wrap the painting in that. Or you can use these clear glass bags.
Oh, okay.
There is a little bit of static transfer with these.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you may or may not want to do that.
You
And
said-
then,
I'm sorry.
mhm.
You were talking about when they asked you about fixative, you said you just pat the back. Is that just to get rid of the loose powder that would be?
Just turn it over and go like that. Asking about the silver frames earlier. This is the silver frame, one from CMI. With this one, I think it works well.
Yes.
With this next painting, it does not. It is the, same frame, but the painting, it's different colors, and it doesn't look good at all to me.
Yeah, I love them.
But the problem is, at CMI, I tried blues and greens and darks and lights and white. I tried everything around this, and nothing was working. So I got tired, frankly, and I said, let's use this one. Unfortunately, because again, you paid for it, so there it is. Doesn't work. What would you say that you could use?
To me,
How about
white.
darkening the painting?
Hmm?
Darkening the painting.
Yeah, I'll finish up the paintings itself before we go into the framing with this one. Which I thought was successful with the framing I'm talking about, not talking about more artwork. But, using this gold, it's not the gold that's in the, plein air frames, so, that was not the detractant from it. It picked up colors that were in her. So although I tried different things around her, this was the best option. And the little story background of this one. The exhibition in Lake Jackson was a combo with a woman who makes masks, these very decorative mask, beautiful. And so I wanted to combine, and all of my paintings were seascapes. So I couldn't have an exhibition without having one portrait in it, right? No way. And so I kept thinking, well, how can I combine a people and seascape and the mask all in one? Karen came and modeled. It was the only bad photo shoot that we ever had. But I kept playing with the photos until the only way I could do it was go in close on her face and make her a little bit larger than life size, which I don't normally do. And then come up with some abstracted water. That was the reason for all of that. It's the water white from CMI that we had cut to this size. I already have 3 spacers on it, just to save a little bit of time. So this is the spacer that we were talking about. It is a clear plastic. This is 1/8 of an inch. It's available in a 1/4 of an inch, maybe half, I can't remember. It's very sturdy. I have paintings that have been framed for a long time and they're still in there intact. One side of it has a strip of paper that is adhesive on the other side. When you peel that strip off, adhere that adhesive to the glass, and it stays that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut it to size. I already have these 3 on, and I have actually, put it where I need it to go. The spacers, you can use scissors, and I'm sure that when I first started doing the spacers, that's what I used. But this little nipper, this one is from Ace Hardware, makes it a lot easier. So, I think I've already marked this to the right size. You use a pencil or a pen, whatever you need. Place it on there, mark it where you need it to go, and cut it. And I actually think that that frame, this is again from Frame Tech, it's called EconoSpace. I think they recommend one side or the other to cut from, but I can't remember, so I'm just gonna cut.
You can buy those in CMI.
What?
CMI. You can buy, where'd you buy those?
I bought these at CMI.
Yeah.
And
What's the little red thing up in the corner? Is that supposed to be there?
the price of these spacers at CMI is about half of Jerry's Artarama online. Not half, but
Yeah.
a whole lot better. I'm sorry, I pulled it off too fast and didn't do a clean job of it. That's what happens when people are watching, right? So you just align it. If anybody wants to come up here and get closer, that's fine with me.
Those are very sticky on the back. You put them down to the glass, they're hard to move.
You get it down, you want to do it right the first time. So, you line it up with the outside edge of the glass.
Do you use the white gloves to work with that glass?
When we're doing a whole lot of things, yes, I do, or build them, I should say. And this is the steps that we do it, but I did see, online that somebody else had put the glass in the frame and then added the spacers, and that seemed to hold it tighter in the frame so that it didn't move as much. I don't know which is recommended. Sorry to say that, but.
I think you don't wanna put that glass in the frame and then try to put the strips on. It's you don't have room to work. And like I said, it's sticky, so if you get it wrong, it's hard. So. Give yourself room to work.
Good suggestion.
Exactly. And so I've been handling this glass, and even if I hadn't, we always use a microfiber glass tape. What is it? Cloth. And clean it before you put the painting in. I don't normally have my paintings in these clear bags. I did this just to bring it here. So, turn it upside down. Here's something I could tell you too. This one is not mounted. It was a charcoal drawing on canson paper, so it's not mounted. So, in order to keep it from buckling once it was framed, I made hinges at the top. If you can see, there's a little bit of the tape on the inside of the painting, and then it folds over to here with another strip across this way. So that's there. Pick them up. We do it a couple of different ways. We could take this package.
Does the adhesive go on the back or the front of the glass that you're putting in there?
It goes against the painting. The spacer? Oh,
No,
what did you say?
It's on the back side of the painting
The
The
hinge?
spacer's just on one side though. It doesn't fit over it.
The hinge?
No, the spacer. It doesn't fit over the painting, it just fits in front of it,
Oh,
right?
it fits on the face of the painting, the spacer.
Okay.
And then the glass just sits on the spacer so that it's not touching the paper.
Okay.
So this is the outside of the glass, the one that you'll see. The spacer is right here.
Okay.
And so it's got 1/8 of an inch between the glass and the outside of the
Okay.
spacer.
Mhm.
And the painting will then be sitting on this. So they
Okay.
do need to all be cut to the same size. The
Okay.
glass and the back around the painting. So which way should I do it? Should I drop it again? Sometimes we find it easier to do it like that and then turn the painting.
The other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's a little thing there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drop it in the frame. And because, Bill is wearing gloves, it's not so bad touching the frame. But I always put my fingers underneath it. Catch the, I'm doing a very good job with this. And there, the painting is separated from the glass by that spacer. Okay. This
But
is-
normally you would tape the package.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. And here's the reason why. I know that probably some people would recommend it, but I've looked at several videos, framers don't necessarily do it. But for instance, on the little girl's painting over there that is packaged like that with the tape on it, I found that, I wanted to reuse my frames too frequently. If it wasn't selling, or it wasn't moving, it wasn't getting a lot of love, nobody was gonna take it, why did I need to keep it framed? But I need the frame. So, taking everything out of the frame worked better for me, so I don't. but we use a point driver. Just put it in. Do a couple of ticks and then lift it up and look at your painting and be sure you don't have any trash that's come in there that you didn't anticipate before you go with a lot of the point drivers. Am I skipping any steps, Bill? It's a small painting. It's not too large, so you don't need a lot of points.
What's the name of that tool?
Hmm?
What's the name of that tool?
A point driver, I guess.
Point driver, okay.
This is a Fletcher.
Oh, because I tried with the other tool that you have there and it's not easy. That's good. Okay.
And it's certainly really easy to use, just so those little things are in there now. The painting is secured.
Put two on every corner. Two on every corner and in the middles where necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Two in each corner.
Okay, before I go any further with that, I wanted to tell you that there are a lot of times when a frame will have the rabbet, which is the space on the inside, will be too narrow for your whole package of glass painting and mounting board. And so you have to use offset clips. And that's what these are, different sizes. And so instead of having everything inside like that, you'll have the offset clip screwed into the frame to hold everything together. That's a little bit more work, a lot more work in fact, and it doesn't make everything as neat as this does. Okay, so that's on that one, that's on that one. Those are available hardware stores, CMI, online shops. Okay. Now, most of the time, we don't put a dust cover on our paintings, but I wanted to go ahead and do it today. So it looked really nice. Have I missed anything yet, hon?
Mm.
Okay. So, there are different papers that you can buy for your dust cover. You can use craft paper. I have a lot of Canson paper that I'm not ever going to use, and so that's what I've been using for that. So, a double stick tape. Put it around all four sides. Y'all got any questions while I'm doing that?
So, not using an adhesive for the piece of artwork, you just taped at the top. I guess because I haven't used a spacer, it seems like that little bit of space that it might kind of not stay straight or something, I don't know. Just the tape at the top and not spray adhesive in the whole thing. You know what I mean?
You're talking about the hinge that's on the top of this painting?
Yes, of tape, and that's all you have. You don't have it adhered on the whole painting to the board, to the foam core.
I don't. And in fact, before sanded paper came out, I didn't even use a hinge. I was using Canson paper and a backer board, and I didn't, may or may not have
With the
hinged.
spacer, it doesn't make any difference. I guess I'm used to putting it flat on the glass and it doesn't.
In this last group of paintings that Bill had to frame, he said, you know, you've got to mount all of them. It's so much easier. What was it you told me?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, some of the paintings were just the paper. They weren't mounted to the foam core.
I
And
don't
If they're mounted and you can just pop them in the frame, and then that's so much easier for the framing person.
And are you getting the adhesive mount boards from CMI, or are you ordering them somewhere else?
I've done it a lot of ways. I have ordered, they have a crescent mount that it has an adhesive on it.
Okay, crescent.
I don't know as to the acid-free content of it, of the crescent mount.
I don't worry about that.
Then that's an easy way to go, and you can also buy that at Hobby Lobby.
Huh.
I'm not doing a very good job of this. I don't do this kind of thing well in front of people.
Tape's a lot easier than glue, I guess.
What?
I've always been glue is mine, you know, that tape looks a lot easier.
And there's also a gadget that's a big contraption that the gluing, that the adhesive is inside of, and it's like a gun, and you just roll it along. That would be a neat thing to do. But like I said, most of the time we don't use a backer because I reframe, and I don't want the backer on it. And so now the paper's done there, and just place it on there, push it down real good. Turn it over. And cut the excess off. There's also a tool that you can buy for about $15, I think, that you can just run along the edges. If I were gonna do much of it, I would invest in that. But not having one, there's always another way to do something, right? So do y'all put dust covers on? I do. On everything?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that my bags are not as clean as yours. Always has fingerprints with pastel, so it's a way to make it look pretty without, yours are perfect.
Is this the way you do it, or you do not have a better way?
Oh, I'm doing that and it's a headache all the time. It's not as good as you.
It's not what?
I mean, you're doing better than I do. Sometimes it's not working because I might hardly frame or whatever.
Yeah, so you're cutting right on top of the frame?
Yeah, but because I'm going so lightly with the cutter, it may be scoring the wood a little bit, but not a whole lot. For one of the exhibitions that we had, that we wanted a dust cover in all of the paintings, I went to Hobby Lobby and looked at everything they had. And a roll of anything is hard to work with, especially closer you get to the end, right? I found this paper that not paper, it was a plastic, and it worked really, really well. That's probably in this one. It's easy to use, so if you wanna pass that around, you can see. I don't know what it's called.
You wanna show it up there so it looks, so they
Okay.
can know what it looks like?
So where in Hobby Lobby did you happen to find that? Were you in the paper section?
In the row that had the poster board, the school things, and the rolls of craft paper. But if you wanted to, and it adhered very well. Bill used the framing tape on the back of it to fix it in.
Were they flat or not a roll?
It's in a roll,
That's
but,
really different, isn't it?
it's easier to handle than paper is. Okay. so that makes a nice little package.
It looks different than you think up close.
This is the top
Mm-hmm.
by me. Okay, one of the things that, some of the galleries are using, and I've seen that are available online now, that if it's, unless it's going to an exhibition, I would use. And that's these little things called wall buddies. This is the size large. The small size would be more appropriate for this. But I'm gonna take it off here. And it just goes onto the corner of your painting like this. And you put another one over here. And then you don't have to get your nails or your nail totally straight, totally level, I guess is the way to get it, because your nail that's in the wall will fit on any one of those little grooves that are in there.
So that's for hanging.
For hanging.
Instead of wire.
Instead of wire.
So two little nails, two nails on each side.
Well, it's got, on this size, it's got 3 holes in it.
No, I mean on the wall.
Yes, they are,
Very nice.
Just
I
probably
may not
with a
have
little
brought
bit
a
of a
pad.
head.
It comes with the nails that go in the wall anyway. The little, it's that little triangle thing, but it's got another little insert in the center of that triangle thing that catches on the grooves. So I think they're really nice. They're called wall buddies.
Wall buddies. Where did you get that? The wall buddies?
You can get them at Amazon.
Amazon.
I know that.
Amazon.
That part. Bill, I don't suppose you'd come up here and do the drawing.
No.
would you? That's the top. Generally, for the D-rings, which come in different sizes like everything else, the small size for this one is sufficient. Don't go overboard. You don't really need this one with a weight. You can use the eye hooks. I'm not sure, I don't think that the exhibitions recommend those. They want the D-rings with a wire. So generally you put the D-ring a third of the way from the top, third of the way down from the top. So if this frame is about 20 inches, a third of that is gonna be what?
You just call it 7.
7, okay?
I mean, it's not quite exact, but close enough.
I'll measure 7 down from the top and make a mark. Probably should be neater than that. And that's where the screws for the D-rings will go. And one thing to watch out for is the thickness of your frame. It is so easy when you're putting that nail in, that screw in for your D-ring to go through the frame to the front and puncture it. It happens to us occasionally. So on this one, this part of the frame is fairly thin, but it does get thicker right here, so you're okay in here, about a ½ inch or more in. So be careful. We've even done it in the plein air frames.
But that's the most important thing you gotta be careful of. Drilling a hole, putting that screw that you don't mess up the front of the frame. It has been done and it's not fun.
So I'm gonna measure, you said about a ½ inch? Almost 2 inches in I'm gonna go over about an inch. I'm gonna mark this one, it's pretty big. this little, very lightweight drill that is wonderful. I wouldn't do without it. And to keep me from going through too far into the frame, I put this little piece of tape that will tell me to stop at that point. So here goes. And what I'm doing now is pre-drilling the hole for the screw that will hold the D-ring. And that's that simple. At home, Bill is very neat about it. He has a little vacuum over here and he vacuums all that stuff away. Okay.
You don't want that sawdust to get between your frame, between the glass and the back. You got a mess then. So, with the back already in place, it's not really a problem, but sometimes if it's an open back, it's not good.
And you can use a screwdriver, of course, for any of this, you know. Those are very handy to have anyway. The D-rings have a flat side, and the flat side, of course, is what's going to go against your wood. Screws. I was a lot more comfortable doing the other part of the demo than that.
We need Bill.
Hmm?
We need Bill to do it.
That's right.
I'd probably mess it up.
I don't have that, they're really, really tight. But I already put the knot in. And this is this is probably the most important part of this whole demo. And there's a story that goes with it, to tell you why. And that's how you tie the wire to the D-ring. In this last exhibition at Lake Jackson, Bill framed the first painting, and it was a large one. It was, I think, 20 by 30. Beautiful black, brown frame with some gold lining on it. Got it all finished, and usually when we have-
Not all finished. I was interrupted.
He had the wire on it. Usually when we have a lot of paintings, we just lean them against the wall in the bedroom. But on this one, I had just sold the painting, so I had a hanger on the wall, and I said, well, put it up there and let me see if that frame looks good with this painting. So he did. He puts it up on the wall, and we step back, and we're looking at it, admiring it, and that thing, it just starts sliding. It's like it's drifting in slow motion. And it keeps falling down that wall, and it gets down, and it hits, the corner of it hits the floor. and Bill and I are looking at each other like, you know, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. What do we do? What do we do? And he said, grab it. So, because we had little areas set up for our framing needs, it wasn't a clear path to the frame. And so I just kind of lunged forward, and a little table, a lamp table that was sitting there, the corner of it hit into my ribs, and I'm falling against the wall. So I did a face plant like that. And this hand went down to grab the frame. I'm holding the frame, and my watch starts slamming my wrist. And it's talking, and it's beeping, and it's.
It's calling 911.
The thing says, "You have had a great fall. Emergency services are on the way." She says, "No, no, no, no."
And Bill is telling me, "Move, I've got the painting." I said, "I can't, it hurts too bad, give me a minute." So, an $85 frame was busted.
Yeah.
And the reason,
Wire on the back, I had not finished completing the connection. Because she interrupted me, she wanted to see it. But anyway, that wire unraveled, it came off on one side, and so it slowly just fell off the wall.
But it was her fault, cause she.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Absolutely.
I take no credit.
Did the ambulance come?
But
usually.
anyway, it broke the glass and broke the frame, and we had to go replace it.
Take these out. This is a good example. Usually what Bill does is, once he has has it in the D-ring and wrapped around, he adds tape to it.
Just masking tape, and roll it around, and it'll make a nice firm, permanent connection.
But because of that instance, and because I wanted it to look like I knew what I was doing up here in front of you guys, I did research different ways to tie the wire to the D-ring, and there are many different ways to do it. Taping it, just wrapping it and taping it is probably the simplest way. But there is one that I'm going to show you as soon as I get that other D-ring in there. That was a good story. And we talked about that watch. I didn't know the watch did that, by the way. You fall, and if you have the setting in there like that to notify you, it will call 911 for you. And it did. After I finally got away from the wall, and it said, "Call emergency services, continue or no." So yeah, you have that choice. Funny story.
Is there a type of wire that you found is the best, that you like the best? And
I like the plastic wrapped ones.
the coated?
Hmm?
The coated one?
The coated ones, because it's just easier on my hand. But, what about you, Bill? Which one do you like best?
Well, that coated wire is easy to work with, but it does have a tendency to want to come loose. So you have to be much tighter knots.
It's harder to do.
You gotta circle it and then put good tape on it so that it doesn't come loose. I like the braided wire
I do
myself.
too,
Yeah, it comes in different sizes,
yeah.
and so you can get a small one,
Weights,
small painting,
yeah.
or a big fat one if you need it. But
And
it's a little bit dangerous, it'll stick if you're
I
not
know,
careful.
yeah, it
Otherwise,
does.
it's the best.
This is a braided one. It's a fairly thick one. It's thicker than you would need for this one. And these are both the coated ones in different thicknesses. I think from CMI I had bought this big spool of the coated one. Okay, so if I can remember exactly how I did it, I tried different ways of different knots. Some of them were just too hard for my fingers and my hands to handle. So you go from the back and leave yourself 4 or 5 inches, 3, 4, 5 inches, and push it down, and then go around, back, and to the left. Pick that one up. Glasses again, and bring this end of the wire through the loop that you've just formed. Not the D-ring, but the loop. I don't know if you can see it.
You've left a bunch of wire, you're gonna have to
Let me see
redo
if I
it.
can zoom in.
I sure did. I forgot that step, didn't I? Thank you, Betty. There you go. Usually we just kind of eyeball it, how much to leave up here. But one video that I was watching was by a woman who does a lot of the exhibition hanging, and she said, I always mark 2 inches down because that makes it easy for us for hanging it. So you can do that. But 2 inches would be that. Thank you, Betty. I appreciate that. Now I can cut some of this excess off. This is another one of my little tool boxes. It's got a lot of little, little everything. These little tools are so great. Wire cutters.
Is that your little pliers?
Mm-hmm.
That worn out.
And so I believe I probably cut it too short to do this easily. Okay, so I've gone from the back up and over, go down and around to the back on the left. And you formed a little loop, so bring this end of the wire through that loop. And pull it in tight. And then start wrapping. And go around at least 4 times, 4 to 6 times, pushing them tight together.
I think that's the hardest part right there, wrapping it.
Wrapping it, it is for me, yeah. My fingers are just a little harder to do. And the way I decided on this particular way was because that expensive framing job over there from Katie Art, I kept looking at the back of theirs, and I looked up real close. How did they do it? How did they do it? It looks really neat. Yeah. And they didn't use tape. So why can't I just copy that? And that's what I've done.
It takes a lot longer though. If you got much to do, you spend all your time tying those little knots. You can take the same thing, run your wire through, wrap it around, and make at least 4 to 6 wraps. And then if you tape that, you get no problem because there's no tension on the circle. This way it takes all the tension off of the wire itself, so it has no reason to unwrap.
Yeah.
But it does, you don't have to tape it or anything, it's just
I
using
haven't
wire.
ever done the knot, but I always would run it back through the ring twice.
Yeah.
I go
That's
through the
another
ring
one.
twice too.
There's all kinds of ways you can do it.
Yeah.
You just wanna be sure it doesn't
Yes.
fall.
And that's it.
Very neat.
If you're at home doing it by yourself and you're not thinking about anything else, then it's very quick to do.
Yeah.
As long as you have all your supplies there, all your materials that you need.
Well, it really makes the back very neat cutting it after it's already laid onto the paper like that. Because I've measured and cut the paper and then you've got to try to get it on there, and that's much simpler and neater.
Well, I should have shown you
Always have
this
the wrinkles.
before I put the duster on. Okay, but, let's see, I can never do it this way. Yeah. If you need to remove these pointers, then this little tool is the one what you use. It has this little cutout in the center of it like that fits over the end of the.
Where'd you get that tool?
Yeah, I need that.
What do you call it?
Let's see.
I need that.
It's a fletcher.
Because I take it, push with my thumb, and it hurts to get it up.
Sure it does, yeah. It's a Fletcher, probably a point driver remover or something like that.
Okay.
And then you just pull that's all.
Okay.
And you have, then
That
you
would
wind up
be
with all these,
easier.
but here and,
You can probably get one of those downstairs,
yeah,
I would imagine.
I imagine you can, exactly. What else did we cover? Long time. Everything else.
I'd like to say about the point driver, I've had mine since the 1970s, and it still works perfectly. And back then, it was about $125. It was expensive.
Yeah.
I think.
Mine was
still
too.
are.
I bought it a long time ago.
I bet
but it
Amazon's
was-
good.
I don't remember how much now, but it wasn't cheap.
I just want to say though, it's worth it.
It is,
yeah.
absolutely.
They are.
And it's like, it's kind of like a stapler. You just pull this up and you have a box of additional ones, and you just slide them in that slot. The slot is curved, it's cut to the direction that you need to go, so that's it.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
So do you use the rigid points or the flexible points? The rigid ones?
They're rigid, yeah.
Okay, so that's why you need that
And she
big.
said the brand was
Did you pull them out?
Sir?
Yeah.
I've never used a flex shop. I have one of those.
Yeah.
I've always used that.
I
Mine's
guess the
yellow,
only, the last thing I wanted to cover, and I don't know, so y'all tell me if you're interested, in the commission painting that we did for the doctor's office, because it was going to be in the reception area, I wanted a security hanging on it. And so that's what we did. Anybody interested in that?
I don't know, what do you mean by security?
It can't be removed from the wall by the patient or by
Oh.
somebody wants to take it home with them.
That's interesting, yeah, I'm interested.
Okay.
Just curious. If they wanted that bad.
Well, it's a little, here. This is, if you order them from Amazon, of course,
Yeah.
this is the little package that you get. Everything that you need is in here. With the addition of this is called a wrench, and this is what you use to, if you needed to remove it from the wall. So everything that you need for the security hanging is in here, and it's not real expensive. And then correct me if I get anything wrong over here, Bill. So,
They have a package that comes with everything you need for about, maybe five sets of it, in one package arrange the whole thing.
the difficulty in doing this, we didn't have to do it because we had the guy come in from Houston. The difficulty in doing it is you're measuring and getting things, marks put on the wall in precise positions. But so this is put on the frame on each corner. Not that one. This is on each corner, and then one is put in the center of the bottom. And how it hangs on the wall is this goes on the wall when you've got your measurements just right. Let's see how it goes. Because I'm doing this backwards, I always
It's
have.
basically a hook on the wall, it's a flat, wide hook, and the same thing on the back of the handle, so that these two pieces, one on the wall, one on the painting, it just sits on there like that. She has the same thing on the bottom. And then they have a little wrench that
It's like that.
slides through, locks the bottom.
So the wrench will fit behind the painting
The
and
wrench is in
tighten.
the wrench is in your hand.
I'll show you that in just a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is on the back of the painting, this is on the wall. And the way it hangs, and then the painting, I've got this backwards, Bill. It's this way. That's on the wall like that, so the painting will just hang like that.
Yeah, just hangs.
And then the same thing on the bottom center.
So when you put it on the bottom, it's, you turn it the other way, and then put a little key in it, And you can't lift it, you can't pull it down, it's stuck both ways.
So this is on the back of the painting. And then this little screw is also screwed into the painting. And it goes into that little frame like that. Sort of like that. I'm gonna try to hold it this way. And so this is on the back of the painting, and then this little screw, you reach underneath the painting. This is a little awkward to do, but well worth it for the peace of mind. And this notch right here goes into this T-square right here, like that. And it turns it, you turn it in that direction, and it cannot be removed from the wall.
That screw goes into the wall or the painting?
It goes into,
It looks awfully long to go into the painting.
it's a long,
I don't know. Can't see.
That would go through the painting if it was.
it was. I'm gonna have to profess ignorance on that one.
Because yeah, we've never done one, we've got some.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, we've got some in case we need it.
Right.
But anyway, that's the principle, it's got, but at the bottom it's got one that's a removable. If you have that little wrench, reach in and get it,
Yeah.
turn it, slide it out.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because it has this,
Anchor.
the anchor, so that does go
That's
into the wall.
Yeah.
This goes into the wall,
Right.
and it fits through this,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then your wrench will turn it and secure it to
Right.
the wall like that.
That's a nice little trick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have anything else. Let me look at my notes just to be sure. But I think that's all. Oh, the dust cover, when you finish it, put your business card on it. If you get one of those things from the glass company that says it's anti-reflective glass, but don't put it in the sun, don't touch on it. Put that on there for the convenience of your customer. Any kind of notes that you want to put on there for posterity, historical stuff, be sure to put it on there. Y'all have been great.
Oh, you've got a good one.